Shabbat shalom, everyone. I'm going to wax nostalgic for just a second here, but then I promise there's going to be some Torah on the other end. Okay, so just bear with me for a little bit. When I was in undergrad, I had the amazing opportunity to study abroad in Italy for a summer and for a fall semester. And I know that a lot of people rave about their study abroad experiences, but I truly think that mine was in a class all of its own. It was incredible from day one until that final plane ride home. And though there were a million different experiences and moments I could share about those 8 months in Tuscany, I want to talk this morning about one that I think had a bigger impact than ever intended. You see, the program, the way that it was structured, is that we attended classes at a university that was in consortium with the University of Richmond, and we took classes like we would, just like we would back in our home campuses. Took classes every day. We studied Italian. We studied other foci of whatever our major was or whatever our studies were back at home. But in addition, we were offered free electives to help us learn about Italian culture. And one of those electives was a wine tasting class that met once a week. At first, around half the students in our program signed up. But college students being college students, once we got the lay of the land in Florence and started feeling more comfortable navigating the city by ourselves, many of my classmates opted to forego the electives and venture out into the restaurants and the bars and clubs of the city, which turned out to be quite serendipitous, because our large wine tasting class turned into an intimate group of just 6 of us. And our teachers decided that since there was already a budget for this elective, for this course, that rather than spending the money on lots of cheaper bottles of wine for us to try, they would purchase each week just a few bottles of some real treasures. And we were spoiled rotten. Chianti Reservas, Super Tuscans, and of course the bottles that became the game changers in my limited knowledge of the grape world, some rare vintages of Brunello di Montalcino. Karen Katz, you can appreciate that. One of these bottles I considered to be the tastiest thing that I had ever put in my mouth, ever. And so while all of my classmates loaded up on souvenirs and clothes and art to take back to the States when our studies were over, I decided that I was going to save up my money and I was going to buy a bottle of 1975 Biondi Santi Brunello di Montalcino, which is just as tasty as it sounds. And I was going to take it home with me and I was going to open it at the perfect time, and only the most special of occasions. And so I did. I spent so much time, an embarrassing amount of time, carefully wrapping this bottle in my carry-on and protecting it like it was a treasure of unlimited value. And I got it home safely. And I spent a lot of time and money finding the perfect storage system for this memento. And then I kept it. And I waited for the moment that was special enough to warrant opening this incredible bottle of wine. I got into grad school, and I didn't open it. I graduated from college, and I didn't open it. I moved to Boston, didn't open it, defended my master's thesis, got accepted into rabbinical school. I think you get the theme here. And then one day, one of my best friends visited me in New York, and while we were sitting in my apartment and catching up, he saw the bottle in a wine rack, all of its own, on our kitchen counter, and he was dumbfounded. "Are you telling me you still haven't opened that bottle?" he asked. And when I confirmed that, yes, indeed, I was still holding on to it and waiting for the perfect occasion, he just laced into me. "Yoni, you have had so many perfect occasions to open that bottle. And you know what? I think you're also misunderstanding what it means to have a bottle like that that's special." Opening that bottle is the special occasion. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to take a moment and to make it extra significant. And in that moment, I realized that he was right. And so right then and there, with some Indian takeout on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, on a random Tuesday night, we opened what I had been saving for 8 years or so, and it was amazing. It brought me back with a blast of nostalgia and significance that can only come from really exceptional food or drink, and I was immediately so thankful that I had opened it. And opened it with a good friend who had the wisdom and the koach to tell me to get out of my headspace of this unknown future and to be in the present. I don't think I'm the only one that's hung onto a bottle of wine for too long, waiting for that perfect moment. It's kind of built into who we are. We are dreamers, romantics. We tend to view our lives as if they were a movie. Great moments of meaning, of depth, of success and celebration, and then, of course, everything else. Which is fine in a movie, because a movie is 2 hours long. But the great majority of our lives is not made up of graduations, bat mitzvahs, weddings, promotions. The great majority of our lives is the time in between. The days when we wake up and we go to work or school, and then we come home and we have dinner and go to sleep. So what are we supposed to do? How long do we hold on to these things, those bottles of wine, those special gifts, that perfect dress, those words of love, while we wait for the timing to be just right? To Yaakov Avinu, to Jacob, our ancestor, our great patriarch, the answer was pretty simple, at least at first. The moments that matter are moments in a specific place and at a specific time. And with that line of thinking, he was in harmony with everyone else in the ancient Near East, in the ancient world. Because God, and therefore holiness, existed in a specific place and at a specific time. And everything else was commentary. The in-between, the liminal space and the time between the moments that quote-unquote matter. But as we read in our Parashat this morning, and as Talia so beautifully read for us, that mentality has a wrench thrown into it as Jacob flees his brother's ire and journeys to Haran, to the place of his uncle. Because on his way there, we read this famous story, the story that we all know, the story of Jacob's ladder, this dream vision that comes to Yaakov in the middle of nowhere, where the heavens open up, and these malachim, these malchei Shaarey, these angels, these divine emissaries of God are ascending and descending from the heavens and the earth. And when he wakes, Jacob says 8 words that change everything. Achein yesh anochi b'makom hazeh ve'anochi lo yadati. Surely God is in this place, and I didn't know. It's a famous line. It's a famous line, and it's a famous scene of Torah. And yet, even with how well known it is, it still doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Because embedded in the story, embedded in this phrase, is something so important and so powerful that we see over and over again, but rarely apply it in our own lives. When he wakes from his dream, Yaakov Avinu, Jacob doesn't say, I should go back to the altar of Hashem at my family's estate and present an offering. He doesn't say, when I get to Haran, I should find the local place of worship and commune there with God. He sets up a stone right there in the middle of nowhere, and he pours oil on it. And he acknowledges that that stone could be there in that spot. It could be 50 feet down the road. It could be 50 miles down the road, or it could be off the road entirely and in the middle of the wilderness. By setting up and consecrating that stone, Jacob opens the bottle of wine. It doesn't have to be saved for the right time or the right place, because the right time and the right place is whenever and wherever he is willing to see it. This is the Mishkan before the Mishkan, the portable place of God before there is a portable place of God. It is the understanding that the divine, that holiness, that profundity, that meaning, and that love do not exist solely in designated space and time, but rather permeates every inch of space and every second of time, and that it is up to us to see it, to appreciate it, and to give thanks for it. The special occasions are special because they make opening our eyes to the blessings around us that much easier. But if we think of them as the sole opportunities to elevate our souls and open our hearts to something dear and powerful, then we miss so much of life and so much of what life is begging us to witness, to understand of just how magical that it is. As Jews, our task is not to wait for sacred moments. It is to put all our heart and soul into the truth that there are no moments that are anything but. That we live our lives with the understanding that there is potential in every day, every hour, every minute, and that we get to decide how much of the gift we're willing to receive at any given time. Talia, my friend, you know this so well. And it's one of the reasons that I'm so honored to share the Bima with you this morning. Because you, my friend, understand better than most of us that today is such a beautiful day to celebrate, to sing, to laugh, and to smile. But so is tomorrow. We celebrate you becoming bat mitzvah today. And tomorrow, you're still bat mitzvah. And I know that you will be celebrating then too, because it's another day with family and friends, with health. I'm sorry for saying this all aloud, but maybe the first snow of the season. A day filled with things that are new and ready to be received. Gifts upon gifts that need no occasion at all. Our lives are not movies. And you know what? Thank God that they're not, because that could get a little exhausting. The movie moments are special, they're beautiful, and we should appreciate every second of them when they're here. But we can't miss the in-between, the many moments between the moments, because they make up the great majority of our lives. And they aren't here just to make the movie moments that much better. They're here to exist in their own way, with their own potential, with their own gifts. They're here to be bottles of delicious wine waiting to be opened, not because the timing is right, but because when life is that good, the timing is never wrong. On this Shabbat of dreams and consecration, let us hold on to how special this day is. Let's celebrate with Talia and her family, with our Ufraf couple, with our friends at the Frankel Jewish Academy, and let's cherish every second of Shabbat. But when it's over, and when we say Havdalah tonight, and we light that twisted candle, and we drink that wine, and we smell those spices, and we enter into Chol, into a week ahead, let's do so with open minds and open hearts, because those days too are gifts. And they're begging to be open and poured out for us to enjoy and to savor. Shabbat Shalom. I'll invite you to please rise.